Gluteal amnesia, aka dead butt syndrome. We live in a world now where sedentary lifestyles are encouraged. Whether you're watching Netflix or working at home or traveling to the office where you'll sit for 8 hours at a time, we are encouraged to sit. What does sitting have to do with gluteal amnesia? Well, let me tell you this. Your glutes are not firing. They're essentially falling asleep. And they fall asleep or they relax because your hip flexors are overactive. So, what essentially we want to do is we want to find out if you have gluteal amnesia and what we can do to prevent it or treat it. All right, so what you can do first is you can go to a physical therapist and they'll tell you yay or nay if you have dead butt syndrome. How do they do this? Well, it's with what's called a Trendelenburg test. The Trendelenburg test is essentially you standing on one foot and lifting the opposite leg off the ground. If, when you lift that leg off the ground, your hips shift, that means one of your glutes is not activated. To be specific, the glute that you are standing on is not activated. Now, you can do this at home very simply. We're going to do it here. You can put your foot on top of a box like we're going to do. Or at home, you can put your foot on top of a stair. Now, when you put your foot on top of the stair, you're going to put your hand on the glute of the foot that is on the stair. So if you're putting your left foot on the stair, you're going to put your hand on your left glute. Now, when you step up, if your glute does not activate, if you don't feel your glute activating, that means only your quads are activating. And that means that you likely have dead butt syndrome. All right? So what we can do is we can treat it or prevent it. All right? Hopefully both. One exercise that I really love that pretty much everybody knows is a squat. Everybody loves squats, right? Oh, you don't? Well, it could be because you have dead butt syndrome. So let's go ahead and go over proper squat really quickly. Well, you can check out my previous videos on how to do a proper squat. So I'm not going to go specifics, but essentially what you want to do is you want to practice a hip hinge, get your knees over and over your heels, and make sure that your hips are in line with your knees. You want to look at a 90-degree angle from your ankle to your knees and another 90-degree angle from your knees to your hips. Another great exercise is a glute bridge. Here, we like to call it a hip press. Essentially, what you're going to do with that is you're going to engage your hamstrings, glutes, and lower back. Essentially, the majority of your posterior chain. You're going to lay on your back with your knees bent, feet are flat on the floor, and you're going to lift your hips up off the ground. Now, one thing that I would point out as a tip that most people don't mention is that when you press your hips up, you want to actually activate your core. You want to pull your belly button into your spine, push your lower back down into the ground, and lift your hips up off the ground. When you do that, that actually gives you just a little bit more activation in your glutes. All right, and for our final exercise, one of my personal faves, a lunge. And this is a great exercise, probably one of the best exercises for gluteal amnesia because not only does it strengthen your glutes, but it also stretches those tight hip flexors. Your hip flexors are going to be really tight if your glutes aren't firing. So it gives you that double bonus of not only strengthening your glutes, but also stretching your hip flexors. Now to execute this motion, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to step out, put one foot in front of the other. You're going to have your knee directly over your ankle as you go down into your lunge. You're going to, again, like our squat, make sure your knee is over your ankle and your hip is in line with your knee. In this exercise, what's going to happen is that the front glute is going to be activating and the back hip flexor is going to be stretching. All right, so that does it for all our exercises. I really do hope that you use these. If you're interested in learning more about how you can treat and prevent injuries as well as strengthen your body so injuries won't be a problem, take a look at our Fix Your Posture playlist. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep good company.
That's awesome!